Let's just be honest. Let's just be real.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Anthony's Theories. Appreciate your time. We'll get into my week one predictions, my record, and then I'll break down a couple of my further theories on a couple of players and react to that as well. So let's get right into it. All right, so I ended week one with a record of 7-9. I don't think it was too bad. I don't know how I did against the spread either, but I really think about week four or week five is when I'll get into my stride. Once I've seen every team play 2 home games and 2 road games, I'll start to be able to decipher who are the good teams, who are the bad teams. As I told you guys before, I'm a player evaluator, which we'll get into in a second. We'll see, we'll get better. But 7-9 week one, I'm really upset. There's like 3 games that I'm mostly upset about. Of course, everyone's upset about New Orleans, Tampa Bay. That's just stupid. So that right there was a game that hurt me a lot. Pittsburgh, Cleveland tying, I'm not worried about that. Also, Detroit, New York. See, those games you can't really feel bad about, though, when the team gives up 50 points, because, like, okay, no one on earth could have predicted that they were going to play that terribly. So, and it's not going to happen again. So, Detroit and New York, that was another bad game. But then my biggest one that I'm most baffled by, like, I didn't mind seeing a lot of these teams lose, but when I see Tennessee lose to Miami, it's the way that they lost with Marcus Mariota playing so terribly, and I picked them to go to the playoffs because I figured Marcus Mariota was going to, even if he gave you 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions this season, that would be far superior than last season when he had more interceptions than touchdowns. So I figured he would at least become average again, and they would be able to, just improve off of that. And it looks like he's going to be that low volume production interception guy. So that's what I was looking at this week. Like I said, we'll see how it goes. But off into the next subject, break down some of my player evaluation skills. So I want to break down some of my biggest predictions that I've made throughout my lifetime, which I think have, for me personally, established myself as a sports genius. Stick to NFL on this one now. Just a couple of players, guys who I hit home runs on, a couple of guys who I struck out on, just to touch on some quarterbacks. So first and foremost, Aaron Rodgers. It was week one, I believe, 2008, his first start at Lambeau Field against Minnesota. They won like 24-17. They won. He snuck the ball in. But Aaron Rodgers, I remember after that game, after I saw him play, and he threw like some type of touchdown side of, one of the corner of the end zone kind of. But it was one of those across body. Only Aaron Rodgers could make that type of throw based on the body, positioning. And I saw that, I was like, wow, this is crazy. I've never seen a quarterback, maybe Steve Young, possibly, like, I'm just running through my head, Steve McNair, but he's not an all-time great. And I'm like, who could have possibly done? And I'm like, he's the only guy I could ever see making that throw. And the way it released from his hands was so perfect. And I told my cousin that day, I was like, dude, this might be the best quarterback I've ever seen. And his response to me, of course, Peyton Manning. Bro, Peyton Manning. This was 2008, of course. So, Peyton Manning, bro. That's all he kept saying back. And I was like, all right, for sure. Yeah, of course, I sound dumb, duh. But time told. So I was right about Aaron Rodgers. Something about the way that the ball come off these guys' hands. Russell Wilson, same thing. Seen him play in the preseason his rookie year. I was sold. I was all right. This is the first time I'm seeing real footage on this guy. Preseason means something for quarterbacks. Whatever, if you guys don't realize that, preseason means something for quarterbacks. I saw the way the ball came off his hands. I was like, this guy is going to be his era of football. So if you don't already know, I think Russell Wilson is entering his era once Tom Brady steps down. And Aaron Rodgers, he's not really going to have an era because Tom Brady took over a lot of his era. And then Russell Wilson will also do that. So Patrick Mahomes is next on that list. I don't think it's going to be his era of football, but MVP, that's my guy. I'm rolling with Patrick Mahomes. Some misses that I've had though, those are my big hitters. I got a lot of other ones like even like Stephon Diggs or where people were like, oh, he's not that good. And I was telling people like, no, this dude's like a Steve Smith. He's a physical ball catcher. But I got a lot of those, and we'll break those down as we go through, and I'll start making lists as of some of the players that I bet on vocally, even if I didn't put it on the internet. But some players that I were vocal about that were just not good was Johnny Manziel. Thought he was going to be an all-time great too. All right, we'll move on from that. Also, Trey Mason from Auburn, I had a lot of high hopes for him too. That's one person who I bet on that didn't work out. So I don't know about that either. So we'll get into those lists too. I'm going to get a better list put together. We'll get to some of those details, and I'll make a full list about it. Some players who I have been telling people that people think are good that are not good. And it's going to bear out over their careers, even though, like, Patrick Peterson, he already got, like, 7 Pro Bowls. But he's not good. He's not a top 5 cornerback. Like, maybe some years he has been top 5. that people need to get over this Patrick Peterson love. Like, he gives up 70-yard touchdowns on the regular. Like, y'all crazy. Todd Gurley. I'll say this about Todd Gurley. I'm going to be the first person you've ever heard say this about the Rams. This game, in the past year, they've had the best second-level blocking I've ever seen in my life, for sure. I would argue the best second-level blocking of all time in the NFL. Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp are routinely just taking out safeties and cornerbacks with blocks. Did you watch the game against the Raiders where the center was just like running 20 yards upfield looking for somebody to block, and Todd Gurley took the ball out of bounds instead of cutting it up and just following his lineman? It could have been an 80-yard touchdown for sure, or something like that, because John Sullivan was 20 yards upfield looking for somebody to block, and Gurley shades out of bounds. That's why he's overrated. Todd Gurley, he's good though. He was great in college. Lottery pick. Well, not lottery, but top 10 pick. All that stuff, but overrated. And lastly, I do want to get on to Julio Jones, who's the most overrated player possibly I've ever seen. Allergic to touchdowns, just completely allergic to touchdowns. And I think at this point we can clearly say Antonio Brown is just much better than him. Let's put Tyreek Hill above him as well. Why not? Why is he better than Tyreek Hill? Tyreek Hill is better than Julio Jones, and by the end of the season, I don't think it's going to be a discussion. People are going to know that. Julio Jones might not even be top 5 by the end of the season. Julio Jones is good. He's a good middle of the field receiver. But once you get that cap on the back of the field, his routes, end zone routes are so terrible. Red zone routes are so terrible. He has no. He can only run routes that rely on strides, like stride length and getting in and out of long routes, pretty much. So that he can work the middle of the field. But when it comes to end zone, he's just trash. Julio Jones, stop putting him in Antonio Brown's category. Stop putting him in Terrell Owens' category and all those guys like that. No, he's maybe a Hall of Famer, but in this era of receivers, why? Yeah. I don't know. So we'll break down some of my player evaluating throughout the weeks and see how that goes. Look forward to my Week 2 picks coming on Friday, and then my reactions, of course, will come on Tuesday. Once again, guys, appreciate the visit to the page. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff.
You ain't got no